It's a tricky one. Shana Tova, Temple Beth El. You guys are like, is she serious or no? Shana Tova, Temple Beth El. Yeah. I feel like that got us to a much better place that time. I hope you're all as excited to be here tonight as I am. I love especially this dramatic onset of the high holidays, all the excited energy here in this sanctuary, and I'm so delighted to be standing before you for my second year as your rabbi in this amazing community. So I brought this shofar as a little bit of a prop with me. We have lots more props coming tonight, though of course we won't get to hear it sound until tomorrow morning, when I hope that you will all be back with us again. I want to tell you the story of how I got this shofar. It was my rabbinic school year in Israel, and some of us had joined in an optional class trip to a Judaica shop to learn to play shofar. And you can imagine 15 or so people who were new to this slightly finicky instrument, trying to learn to play all at the same time. Though actually at the beginning, it's mostly just the sound of silence. The sound of learning a shofar is then it got loud. Also smelly, as the shofar really emits its animal essence when it's nice and warmed up. So after a bunch of tries, and I was really about to give up and walk out, I finally figured out how to get a sound out of the shofar. And so we were all kind of passing them all around, and I found one I was really enjoying playing. And I lingered long after my fellow students had left, just tooting someone else's horn, playing my borrowed merchandise shofar. So finally, I nervously asked how much it cost. It was, suffice it to say, too much to commit to for my first and only time playing. Also, there is a price gouging issue heading into Rosh Hashanah, word to the wise. So I started to sadly put it away when the owner stopped me. No, tavi oto habaita. What? I looked at him with some puzzlement. I was still getting used to living in Hebrew, but it sounded like he'd just told me to take it home with me. Ma? Huh? I won't belabor the dialogue, but the shop owner assured me that he had indeed told me to just take it on home with me, and that he was sure that I'd either bring it back or bring him some money at some unspecified point in the coming weeks or months or, whatever. So I took the shofar home, and I played it a bunch, and ultimately my aunts, who are here in the sanctuary tonight, got me the shofar as a gift. And I returned and triumphantly remitted payment in full to that kind and trusting shop owner. So there are many lessons you can take from that story, and leave it to Rabbi. No matter what lesson you want, I can make it fit that story. Seriously though, the primary lesson that I take from that story, the lesson my shofar taught me, is to trust the good in people. Even, you might say, to a fault. Take a chance that someone will do the right thing in this crazy world. That is what this beautiful instrument has taught me and manifests for me. It's one of the many things that I've learned from my shofar. Now, I hope that this story has jogged some memories for you guys. Maybe something associatively. Maybe something you bought in Israel, an encounter with an eccentric shopkeeper, a time you heard or even tried to play the shofar. But I want to direct you more specifically. Can you think of a Jewish item, like this shofar, that you own, and the story behind it? So it might be a shofar just like this, or it might be, candlesticks, a Kiddush cup. Maybe you own a sukkah, a menorah, a Chanukiah, if anyone's fact-checking me out there, a tallis, anything like that. I also do want to recognize that maybe not everyone in here has these things or even knows what they are. And if not, I'd like to welcome you just as you are, and also offer temple support if you choose to acquaint yourself with these items. Maybe instead of an explicitly Jewish item, you could imagine a different kind of prized possession in your life. So if some of you have been able to think of an item and a backstory, got a few nodding of the heads. Yeah, could imagine something in your house, okay. So based on that story, what has your item taught you? This is one of my favorite methods of insight, perhaps. It's like, imagine your story was in the Torah, and we were sitting around a Torah study reading it and saying, what's the meaning of this story? What do you think is the meaning of the story of your item? Maybe something about the importance of preserving family heirlooms from generation to generation. L'dor v'dor. Maybe something about holding on to Judaism in the form of this item when all the odds were stacked against us. Maybe it was about declaring your own independence or autonomy or taking on a new identity by purchasing this item yourself. Maybe it was about seeing something beautiful and wanting to bring that aesthetic high note to our Jewish rituals. So, some of you thought of a meaning, a possible reading of your story. Are like, I need more. Yeah? Okay. So, thought of what you've learned from your item. But now I want to up the ante. What have you learned from your Jewish item lately? What have you learned from that item in your home lately? Because I bet it still has a lot more to teach you, and will teach you a lot more in active use than if you're not all that sure when and where you last saw it. Which, if that is the case, and if you've seen my office, then you surely know that I've been there too. But really, the more you use that item, the more you embrace the item, the more you own the item, the more lessons, the more connection, and the more learning it will bring to you. But Rabbi, bring me a Jewish text to prove your point. Okay. I want to offer you the Jewish protocol for what you do when you hap upon a lost object. Because there is a Jewish protocol for this matter, and it's amazing stuff. The Mishnah, our 2nd century law compendium, has a whole chapter explaining what to do if you, a regular person, happen to find an object that has been lost by someone else. So, has anyone out there ever found a lost object? Yeah, something lost? Yeah, found it on your way? All right. So have any of you finders out there wondered what to do with the item? Or moreover, what would be the moral or ethical thing to do with that item? Because our rabbis from centuries and centuries ago might actually be able to offer some wisdom to help you with this commonplace plight. So at the very beginning of the chapter on this topic starts out by raising the question. Regarding found property, what may one keep and what must one declare in hopes of finding the original owner so they can reclaim it? So our options are keep or declare. So as an answer, the Mishnah begins by stating several specific objects that automatically do belong to the finder, finders, keepers, losers, weepers. But then Rabbi Yehuda, this important sage, appears and rules that any object that has a shinui, which is some kind of observable change or alteration to the object. Anything with a shinui cannot be kept and must be declared. So one real example in the Mishnah is a loaf of bread that has coins in it, regular behavior. So a regular loaf of bread has no shinui, and the finder can just keep it. But a loaf with money in it has this unusual shinui that means that you can't just eat it, you have to attempt to return this loaf of riches to its rightful owner. So if the item has nothing special about it and nothing to distinguish it from any other item, the finder may keep it. If, however, it has an unusual or special marking, which mostly happens with use, the person must attempt to return it to its owner. So, let's do a little test. We're going to do a little comprehension test. Okay. Detroit Lions baseball cap. Tag still on. Keep or declare? Keep. Yes. Awesome. And I know that the tag thing is kind of trendy right now, but it does also have the inside thing, so I was trying to really message to you guys with that. Okay, keep that. It's a common item and unused. You get to keep it. All right. So, thought experiment. This one I don't have. What if it was a Detroit Lions baseball cap signed to Jennifer by Matt Stafford? Keep or declare? Yeah, you better declare it. That's your shinui, right? The autograph is the shinui. Great. All right. Here's what's up next. Let's see. Journal. I don't really see any words in it. Keep or declare? Keep. Yeah. Oh, I heard a dissenter. I heard one loud voice say declare. I heard mostly keep. I'd go with keep. It does have dinosaurs on it, which is pretty cool, but I think that you can still keep it. Now, this journal. Wow, this looks like it has the notes from someone's year in Israel in it. Ooh, keep or declare? Yeah, if you find this one around, just let Rabbi Brudney know. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next up. If anyone's a little chilly, which I'm not because it's kind of broiling right now. All right, we have this blanket, okay? It's kind of like it's from Bed Bath & Beyond, maybe. Probably was. Versus, say, this blanket. Looks a little bit handmade. What do you think, Bed Bath & Beyond? Yeah, keep. What do you think, handmade? Yeah, someone really misses that. I think you better get it back to its owner. So anyway, I'm clearly not going into all of the entire principles behind this, but you kind of get the idea that things have these inherent properties, right, that make them either kind of special and identifiable and make you accountable to get them back to someone, or it's kind of oh man, my dinosaur journal, guess I'll have to get another one. Great. So all of these combine to tell us in the Mishnah that the way to make something in the declare department, right, irrevocably, unerasably, undeniably yours, is to use it. Use it. Get it dirty. Put your name on it. Leave a mark. Decorate it. Embellish it. Show. Don't tell. Show that it's yours. Which takes us back to your item. First of all, if, God forbid, you lost your item and then someone were to find it, would it be a keep? Or would it be a declare? Does your item have a shinui, some kind of change or alteration or marking to show that it's yours? If yes, what is it? What makes it different or obviously used or in some way modified? But beyond the object, and it's not always all about the object, and some objects, like a piece of art, I wouldn't scribble on that personally, but I want to flip the wisdom of the shinui on its head. Perhaps, in addition to measuring ownership by a shinui found on an object, we should also be measuring ownership by the shinui the object has made on us. Each lesson gleaned from your object is a shinui, that thing, that material object, and I hope you were able to think of at least one as a starting point, that's a shinui that your object has made on you. Each distinct memory can be a shinui, a lesson learned, something that changes you. Whether it's getting a joy infusion from using the talis that served at the chuppah as your wedding, or recalling the wonder of passing on our tradition from the first time you got to light your menorah with your child. And by the way, just like a physical shinui on the object, I'm not assuming that all of your memories of your object are necessarily objectively beautiful and good. A shinui can be a huge crack from dropping your Seder plate the first time you used it, reminding you for the millionth time not to carry 7 things at once. It could be the wine spills and charoset dust on your Haggadah, encouraging you to linger over your Seder, even if accidents happen. A shinui can also be the time you couldn't even stomach the thought of lighting your Shabbat candles in a moment of oppressive grief, when you gave yourself the permission to grieve your own way. Or the time in Hebrew school you remember being yelled at for not knowing how to light your menorah the standard way, teaching you not to shame people for their Jewish knowledge or their lack thereof. Any moment that stands out as a lesson is a shinui that your object, that your Judaism made on you. And by the way, although this process certainly starts with the self, it by no means needs to end there. A shinui can be the moment of emptying out your tzedakah box and deciding where you're sending the money. A shinui can be bringing a shofar to a rally or to a protest, invoking your Judaism as one of your animating reasons for being there. These moments of shinui can benefit a larger or more vulnerable population as well. And as this new year commences, as we begin to wander down the path of 5778, I want to encourage you to not just stick with the backstory, looking into the past, but also seek and create moments of shinui in the future. Whatever object you thought about earlier, go find it in your house, wherever it may be. That part might be intimidating to some of us. I relate to that. But go find that object. Think back on your history together. And I want to ask you to plan your future as well. What journey do you want to go on with your item this year? What shinui, what sign of use or alteration or change might it show by the end? And if you have some sense of it, what shinui do you hope to feel from using it? Of course, we never know where the path will lead us. But do you have a vision for what you want to gain, to learn, to understand from using your item? And with that image in mind, I do want to come back to just one more interpretation of my shofar story from the beginning. From that store owner who cheerfully sent me home with his merchandise, assuming I would just come back and pay up or hand it over. And that lesson is to nurture another person's Jewish journey, even perhaps to a fault. When he saw a spark in my eye over this shofar, he took a chance on helping me grow it into a flame. Temple Bethel, that is what all of us up here seek to do for you. To meet you wherever you are on your journey, and to imagine whether it's a next baby step or maybe a next marathon. There's all kinds of approaches. But please, if you want to try to purchase a new Jewish item of your own, but don't know where to start, we want to grow that spark into a flame. Give us a call, make an appointment. Let's talk about your interests and what Jewish item might fit into and enhance your life. If you have an item but aren't sure what it is or how to use it, we want to grow that spark into a flame. Give us a call, make an appointment, bring it in. We can learn more about it together. Judaism is I can't express to you guys. Judaism is gigantically huge. Like, our tradition is ginormously humongous. It is so big. I may not know what this thing is either, but we'll research it together. And by the way, once we find out, I'm not assuming that you have to exclusively use it for its originally intended purpose. I'd want to find out what that purpose was and start there, but we can be creative about what you want this item to do in your life and what shinui you're seeking. So often at our life cycle events, I see people proudly holding up a tallis or a kiddush cup saying, "It was my great-grandfather's," or "It was my Zadie's." This year, in 5778, I want you to hold that history. Hold it. Respect it. Don't forget it, God forbid. But I also want to make sure that that item is yours, fully yours, in the deepest sense of the word as well. Temple Bethel, I want you to be the shinui you wish to see in the world. Be the change. Use your Judaism and just see how it uses you and leaves a mark on you too. And don't forget to bring us here at Temple along for the ride. Shana Tova.